Hey, how's it going, everybody? I'm Shadow Stitch, and I like solo running Pokemon Black and White. So last week we took on the game with the regional bird Unfezant, and it did surprisingly well, which is, definitely surprising to me. I was not expecting a whole lot out of that Pokemon, but it did pretty well. However, this week we're going to be taking on the game with a much cooler Pokemon, the Lucario of this generation, pretty much, Zoroark. So Zoroark is pretty awesome. Had a whole movie come out before the gen dropped and all that fun stuff, kind of just like Lucario. It's a two-stage evolution, which is going to be the first one that we've done so far, which is pretty cool because we've only done three-stage evolutions so far. And just is a cool Pokemon, in my opinion. I think it's just got a great design. It's a dark type, which is my favorite type, and all that. However, is all that going to transfer into being a good runner? Well, it's a glass cannon, as you see with those stats. We got 60 across the board in HP, defense, and special defense. But we have pretty solid offenses in 105 attack and 120 special attack, and good speed in 105 base speed. So, yeah, it is not going to be taking hits to save its life pretty much, but it's going to be dishing out a lot of damage. And really importantly, we have two setup moves to abuse this time. At level 1, via relearn, and I guess technically at level 9, but we're not going to be a Zoroark then, we're going to be learning Hone Claws, which is awesome. So this is a move that boosts our attack and accuracy, and then at level 54, we get Nasty Plot, doubling our special attack. We got a pretty solid TM move pool as well. We got, of course, the big hitters like Return, Dig. We got Aerial Ace for a little bit of coverage, Low Sweep and Focus Blast for some fighting coverage, Shadow Claw, Shadow Ball if we need it. And overall, just it got pretty much what it needs, which is awesome. However, of course, we do evolve up, so let's go take a quick look at Zorua. So Zorua, on top of being absolutely adorable, pretty much has the same thing going for it. We got 40 across the board in all of our defensive stats, 65 attack, and 80 special attack, which are actually incredibly good offensive stats for a first stage evolution, and then decent 65 speed. So we do start off with a nice stab move in Pursuit, at least, with Scratch and Leer to back that up. But our level up move pool isn't amazing. We get Fury Swipes, sure, I guess that's technically an upgrade to Scratch, and we get Feint Attack. But outside of that, not really a whole lot going on until we evolve into Zoroark at level 30. We do have pretty much the same level up move pool, but we don't get access to any of those moves, necessarily in time. And of course, we are a pure Dark type, which is my favorite type, so that's cool. We are going to be talking a lot about the Illusion ability in this run. It's a very unique ability that allows it to disguise as the last Pokemon in your party. But it's definitely something easier to talk about when you see it in action. So anyway, that is pretty much about it. I am definitely looking forward to this one. I think it's going to be a ton of fun, and Zoroark is just, of course, one of my favorite Pokemon of this generation. So let's kick things off. We're going to start our timer as we load up the save, and then we're going to get this show on the road. Alright, so right off the bat, we're going to just start off with Illusion. So, as you see, we're going to select Snivy. Now, we do preload our starter into the ROM before we even start the battles with the rivals here. So, we will be starting as a Snivy? No, that's actually a Zorua, as you can see with the level up, and whenever we take damage, that is going to break our Illusion. So, yeah, that's pretty solid. We also have the medium slow growth rate, which is arguably the best growth rate for solo challenges, which is really solid. It's the same as the starters and all that fun stuff. So it's going to allow us to level up really early, really well early on, and then kind of taper off towards the end, which doesn't really matter that much. So yeah, Illusion is a very cool ability. As you can see, because Snivy is the only other Pokemon in our party, we're going to be disguised as that, but we have a lot of other Pokemon along the way in this run that are going to give us really good disguises. So we're going to talk about each of those Pokemon that I pick up that are going to be really solid for Zorua, and also get to show off a little bit of AI gimmicks. So let's go ahead and skip right through everything. So of course N isn't going to be too much of a problem. It's a little slow, dark versus dark. Bianca isn't really too much of an issue at all. We're going to go ahead and grab our monkey in the dream yard as well to allow us to have a use for cut, and it does give us a water typing to disguise as, which isn't super useful. Sharon is no issue at all, so we're going to go ahead and skip right to the gym. So we're making actually fantastic time here. Just under 11 minutes going into our first battle here. We're already level 14, so that's that medium slow growth rate really going to work right here. We do come out disguised as the Panpour in the back of our party, but it does get broken by the Lillipup at the start. Thankfully, as you can see, it went for Bite, which of course was resisted, so it saw that move as being unresisted by our Panpour, and it went for that, so it allowed us to take a resisted hit. So for a Pokemon like Zorua, that is the definition of a glass cannon, being able to take even resisted hits is really solid. So with a couple Leers and Pursuits, there's no issues at all with this gym, so we're going to go ahead and skip right through it. So we get hijacked by Fennel, we get to get into the Dream Yard, use our one mandatory use of HM in Cut by our monkey, and then we can head out to Route 3 and battle with Sharon. So Sharon is much closer to our level, but we did a lot of trainer. And again, that medium slow growth rate really putting in the work here, allowing us to get to Feint Attack earlier on. So we have a slightly stronger move against his Tepig right there. Now, of course, we did pick Tepig for us to go against, so, you know, eventually you can have a fighting type, but honestly, I don't think any of the starters would really be a struggle for Zoroark, but we'll see that later on. Anyway, we're going to chase the goons into Wellspring Cave, do a couple battles, and then this is actually going to be where we pick up our first important team member, not only for HM use, but also for our illusion. And that is going to be a Woobat. So Woobat is, of course, usually what I pick up as a flyer. We do get a free Dusk Ball. We're in a cave. We can always grab it. But it's actually excellent for this run because with a Psychic and Flying typing, that means that the AI is going to be incredibly de-incentivized by going for both bug moves and fighting moves, especially, which of course is two of our biggest weaknesses. So if we're able to disguise as a Woobat, then two of our biggest weaknesses we're likely not going to be getting hit by. Of course, there is something else in this cave that I do want to pick up as well, but we're having a little bit of bad luck. But, you know, we'll take a little bit of extra grinding, and there he is, a Roggenrola. Roggenrola also is pretty decent. Not only gives us our user for strength, but it also gives us a way to resist some attacks, especially normal types. And with Lenora coming up and other things along the way down the road, it's definitely very useful. Try to get out of the cave, run into one more, but, you know, it's all good. So we're going to go ahead and get out of here, battle a couple trainers on the way on Route 3, and then we're going to head into Nacrene. In Nacrene, we meet up with Sharon once again, and he gives us some really important Chesto berries, which is pretty solid. But before we do anything, we're going to go ahead and head over to the Pinwheel Forest. So Pinwheel Forest is really nice. Not only do we have this nurse right here, which will always heal us up, but we have a lot of great training in here. However, there is a couple of black belts, fighters, fighting types with timbers in the back of the forest, so we'll have to be a little careful of that. But, you know, thankfully we're able to gain a decent amount of experience in here, and then it's going to be time to head into the gym. Of course, on our way into the gym, we do meet up with N, and you know, Ed has a pretty cool gimmick where it uses all the Pokemon in the area around him, but he is so significantly under-leveled, even his Timber isn't going to be much of an issue. Get a nice critical hit, speeding things along with a feint attack, and his Timpole is going to stand no chance either. So after that, we're going to go ahead and deposit our team, buy a couple things, and then we're going to head into Lenora, because I'm fully expecting to have some blackout grinding here. So Lenora is almost always a huge wall for a lot of Pokemon, and Zoro is going to be no different. So we take a mountain of damage from that takedown. Now, you might be asking, why are you not coming in disguised as Roggenrola? That might de-incentivize her to go for a takedown and taking a ton of damage instead of going for a resisted bite. But the thing is, I really need to be blackout training here. We've battled all of the trainers in the area, and wild Pokemon in this game give absolutely nothing for experience. So it's never going to be worth it to blackout train and to battle wild Pokemon, except for maybe Shaky Grass, but that's so inconsistent, it's not really worth it. I've found that blackout training on Lenora is definitely the way to go to gain experience. However, as you can see, this is very inconsistent blackout grinding. We're not really getting the 2 shots. We're kind of having to rely on critical hits like that, which does give us our first chunk of experience. But, you know, the Watchog in the back is just going to come back and just blow us up with a Retaliate. So this does go on for a little while, but we're going to go ahead and pick back up finally at the winning attempt. And here we go. After 9 resets, we are made it all the way up to level 25. Really solid timing right there. So we're going to go ahead and Leer, Feint Attack. We're getting a solid 2-hit KO right here, which is awesome. And then the Watcha comes out. We took no damage, so it's going to Leer once again. Feint Attack. We live on 2 HP, and then Feint Attack is going to 2-shot, bringing us up to level 26 and giving us the basic badge. So now, if I did get up to a certain level, probably 28 or something, or maybe after this attempt, I might have switched to bringing Roggenrola, because I was doing consistent enough damage to get the 2 shots that I needed with the help of Leer. But, you know, I really wanted to make sure that my blackout grinding was consistent. So after the Plasma Goons, you know, steal the Dragon Skull, and we have to chase them through the Pinwheel Forest. We're going to battle a couple extra trainers. We're going to get the TM for Grass Knot. We can finally head out to the Sky Arrow Bridge. This place is always just beautiful. I love the Sky Arrow Bridge. This is still one of the coolest looking locations in the entire Pokemon series, in my opinion, as we're going to cross it, head into Castelia City, and this is actually the first place that you can get a Zorua. Now, the way that you normally would get a Zorua, you can't get it in the wild or anything like that, not even post-game. You had to transfer in a event Celebi into the game from Heart Gold, Soul Silver. Then you go over to one of the buildings, you talk to a little kid that is actually disguised as a Zorua, and there you go. You got a Zorua in your party just in time for the Bug-type gym. Not really that great, but you know, that's pretty cool. So a very cool way to get yourself a Zorua, which is nice. So we're going to do a little bit of extra training here in the Battle Company. We're not actually going to pick up our usual pickups here in Castelia, that being the Rest TM and the Eviolite, because we are so close to our evolution, and I really want to make sure that we're evolved by the time we get to Berg. So we're going to do a lot of training in here, and then we're going to head into the gym. And on the final gym trainer, we're going to reach level 30 and get our evolution into Zoroark. This thing obviously looks really cool, which is awesome, and we also get a big move upgrade in Night Slash. So I think we are ready to do this and take on Berg now. So we're not going to be going into this battle disguise, but we have our final evolution. We have a pretty strong move in Night Slash. Not even Whirlwind is going to be able to handle that. Dwebble does not have Sturdy. Is the Levanti going to be able to hang on? No, it is not, to a critical hit, thanks to the scope lens that we picked up, giving us an extra boost to our critical hit chance, up to 25%. Shout outs to the crit numbers that we learned last time in the Unfezant run. So we're going to go ahead and get a nice, easy gym badge right there, and then head up to Route 4, where we got a couple rival battles. Yeah, Bianca is not going to be any issue whatsoever. You already know that. Sure, she has Intimidate on her tier, but we are well over leveled. We're definitely strong enough, even though the Dewott hangs on, and that's perfectly fine. Let's go ahead and move on to Sharon. Of course, Sharon is always a little bit annoying thanks to the sandstorm going up and all that fun stuff here. He also, of course, has a Pick Knight, which does resist us. So Night Slash probably 2 shots. No, it does not, thanks to a critical hit. Shout outs to that scope lens doing some work. The Pan Sage drops as well, no issues there. Liepard does hang on thanks to his resistance, but it's just terrible. It's not really going to be doing anything, so one more Fury Swipes is going to knock that out. So yeah, we are absolutely steamrolling this game. We're going to go ahead and head up here, grab a nice free ether. We're going to grab the TM for Dig, and then actually make a quick detour into the Desert Resort to pick up the Black Glasses, which is going to give us a 20% increase to all of our Dark type moves that we go for, which is really solid because, of course, Dark is a very spammable type in this game, and we're going to be clicking that button a lot. So with all that, we're going to head into Nimbasa City. So after beating up a couple goons, chasing them off to the theme park, we're going to grab the bike, have a little bit of a chat with Bianca, and then we're going to head over to the Pokemon Center, where, of course, we get our big upgrade in return. So return, of course, is not going to be as busted as it was with Unfezant, because, you know, we don't get that same type attack bonus, but it's still going to be really solid, give us a nice neutral coverage into some things that do resist dark, like other dark types or fighting types or something like that, which is solid. We're also going to grab the rest of our team, and we're going to head over into Route 16. And while we're over here on Route 16, I do want to touch on the other event that made Zoroark possible to get. This time, instead of transferring the Celebi, you transferred up the 3 legendary beasts, that being Zoroark, Entei, and Raikou. That also came in an event all shiny and had special moves and stuff like that. Really cool. And then you go into Lostlorn Forest. You talk to a person there with one of your legendary beasts in, I believe it had to be the front of your party, and it will come out disguised as that beast, and you had to catch it as the Zoroark. A really cool little extra fight right there, and definitely a nice, mention to the movie, as we're going to go ahead and head into here, do a little bit of Pokemon dress up, and then it's going to be time for our date with N. So N shouldn't be too much of a problem, but he can certainly trip us up a tiny bit if he really feels like it, thanks to his Scraggy right here. Does have swagger, but it just drops to a single return, and we've had a massive moveset and item increase thanks to the Black Glasses. We got Dig, we got Return, we can knock that Sigilift out with a Feint Attack to save a little bit of PP, and yeah, he is no issue whatsoever. So we're going to go ahead and head into the gym. Now, something really interesting mentioned, of course, all the Emolgas, they have static. They're really annoying. This girl, especially right here, she also has double team on her Emolgas, but we have just enough level advantage over her. We're almost 10 levels over. We get static immediately, and even though this second one is going to start setting up double teams, we got Feint Attack, so we don't even have to worry about that, and that is just absolutely fantastic. That's pretty much the only semi-interesting thing that happens in the entire gym, so let's go ahead and talk about Elisa. So Elisa, once again, incredibly easy. All we have to do is just don't get staticked. Night Slash 1 comes out, easily drops the Emolga. Night Slash 2, hey, look at that, we dodged it. Zebstrika, is it going to outspeed? It is not. We land a single dig, and that is going to drop. Maybe Night Slash could have knocked it out, but, you know, we play it safe sometimes here with Dig, and there we go. We got our 4th gym badge at almost exactly an hour into the run. Very solid. Of course, we got Route 5 Sharon, but, you know, he is far past the point for us caring about him. He has no issues whatsoever. Does Breaker Disguise on turn 1, and this is actually something that could be nice to mention. Now, as you can see, whenever my disguise was broken, even though I was hovering over return, it defaulted me back to the start with Night Slash. So if you ever play Zoroark, make sure that you remember that if the turn after your disguise is broken, your move selection is going to be reset. But there's not going to be any issues here whatsoever. This just gave me a nice excuse to explain that semi-interesting mechanic. So we're going to beat up a couple toddlers and then head into Driftvale City. And in Driftvale City, we're going to go ahead to the cold storage, grab an ether right here, and grab a heart scale as well, which is going to come in handy very well later on. Of course, none of the plasma goons are going to cause any issues whatsoever. We're pretty much just plowing through everything right here. We're going to go ahead and grab the expert belt in the market, and then it's going to be time for us to head into the gym. Of course, none of Clay's gym trainers are going to cause any problems, and neither is he. We're going to come out disguised as a Woobat. This means that he is not going to be going for ground-type moves into us, so even if the Palpitoad and Crocorock lived those grass knots, it's not really going to matter for them. You can't just mess with our speed, and then one expert belt boosted dig is going to be enough to knock out his Excadrill. So we are absolutely cooking. We have, you know, just plowed through this game so far ever since we evolved, and we got some really solid moves. So let's go ahead and move on. Of course, Bianca jumps us on the way out of the city, but yeah, this isn't an issue whatsoever. You already know. We're going to Night Slash. We're going to get our illusion broken. She's going to waste our time with Hyper Potions, and then we're going to move on. Nearing the end of the Plasma Gauntlet, we're going to make a slight detour downstairs in Chargestone Cave to grab ourselves a rare candy. Now, this rare candy it's not too far out of the way, but the problem is these Ace Trainer spinners. They're always just in the way, and they're always annoying. So, you know, if we need a little bit extra training, it might be worth, but for the most part, this Pokemon didn't really need this training, so it just kind of was a slow process. So, but we get a nice free extra rare candy, and who knows, maybe if we ever do this again, we can cut this one out of the run. But yeah, we're going to finish up our Plasma Gauntlet, and then we're going to take on N. So N isn't really going to be too much of a problem. Sure, he's got Boldar. Sure, he's got some Steel types that do resist Dark in this generation, but they're not just going to do too much damage. We're going to go ahead and teach Rock Smash over Grass Knot, because that lets us deal with the Rock types, or the Steel types, a little bit better. So Ferroseed's going to come out. It's really defensive, but 140 base power Rock Smash is still enough to knock it out. Clank definitely can't stand a chance either, and there we go. We're going to go ahead and clear out end of the cave and head into Mistralton City. And immediately as soon as we head into Mistralton City, we're going to go over to this house, talk to this girl, give her a heart skill, and that allows us to relearn a move on our Zoroark, and that is, of course, going to be Hone Claws. Hone Claws is absolutely fantastic. It allows us to boost our attack and our accuracy all in one turn, which is just wonderful. Even a +1 attack boost is really solid at this point in the game, where a Pokemon, the trainer Pokemon are like starting to evolve and get more bulky and stuff like that. So getting that attack boost to punch through those is really nice. So we're gonna go ahead and take a quick chat with Cedric and Skyla, and then we get to chase Skyla to the Celestial Tower. And after chasing Skyla up to the top of the tower, that lets us ring that bell, which also gives me an opportunity to say, hey, thank you guys so much for subscribing. And if you haven't already, you know, maybe consider it. I do these runs at least once a week, which is really solid. Occasionally I stream whenever I feel up to it. So it's definitely, we're not really going to go anywhere. And I know it always sounds cringe whenever YouTubers say like, hey, like 90% of you aren't subscribed and all that fun stuff, but it really does help us out, especially me. This is still a very brand new channel and I'm still trying new things out. So I always appreciate any kind of feedback. So anyway, let's go ahead and stop the cringe YouTuber nonsense. We're going to plow through this gym really quickly with a bunch of Night Slashes, and then we're going to be taking on Skyla. And if you thought Skyla would be any different, well, you're sorely mistaken, unfortunately. So we're going to set up a single home clause. That's going to give us plenty enough power. Swoobat Waste is its only turn to set up an Amnesia, which is not going to matter whenever we're hitting for physical attacks. With Night Slash, we get the chance to learn Embargo. Absolutely horrible move. No, thank you. Unfezant's going to drop to a single one. Swan is going to come out as well and drop to another. So easy peasy, lemon squeezy, gym badge. Skyla definitely, if Bryson didn't exist in this game, then Skyla's probably one of the worst gym leaders. So yeah, moving on to Twist Mountain, where we run into Sharon. But yeah, we have a setup move now. We are pretty dang strong. We're significantly over leveled. We have no issues whatsoever, even against his fighting type, because we got Dig. So yeah, moving on. Also, another fun really use of disguise is we can see here in Twist Mountain, we do have these black belts and battle girls and stuff like that, and because we're disguised as a Woobat, they're not going to be incentivized to go for any fighting type moves against us, which is really cool. So it lets us get that experience from them very safely. So we're gonna make our way through Twist Mountain. We got another trainer with a sock, and then we're going to head into Icarus City on the other side. And as soon as we head into Icarus City, we're going to go ahead and stop by the Pokemon Center and not grab the Brick Break TM, because unfortunately we don't learn Brick Break. But because we got the TM for Surf, we are going to be going ahead and doing a little bit of backtracking right now. We're going to head over to Striaton City, stop by here, push the boulder out of the way and grab a rare candy. And then we're going to be heading into a new location we haven't gone to yet. Now, of course, it's just Wellspring Cave. Now, sure, we've been here already, sure, but we haven't been in this part of it, where we're going to go ahead and surf across the water here, head downstairs, and yeah, it looks goofy, I know. So, shoutouts to my emulator not emulating things correctly. This is supposed to be a dark area where you're supposed to need flash and all that fun stuff, but it's really not that big of a deal. This area is pretty easy to navigate, and it allows us to get a couple TMs, low sweep there, and focus blast. So we got some strong fighting type coverage, and then we can dig out of here, which is really solid because that puts us back on Route 3, and that lets us head over to the pond here, surf across the water, and grab another rare candy. And then we're going to head into Pinwheel Forest, grab that candy before we head out, and then we're going to move back to Icarus City so we can take on our next gym badge and Bryson. And as we all know, Bryson is an absolute joke. We're going to be coming out disguised as a Woobat because we actually do want to get hit by an Ice-type move, that being Frost Breath. Now, his other move is Mirror Shot, which if we came out disguised as something else, it might have been able to hit that, potentially lower our accuracy. We don't want to deal with that because 1+1 Home Claws with low sweep, even though it's a relatively weak fighting type move, is more than enough to just one-shot all of his Pokemon and get us our penultimate gym badge. So once again, Bryson is an absolute joke, and we're going to move on. Now, as you can imagine, making our way through the Dragon Spiral Tower, we're going to have no issues, but we pick up a very, very important Pokemon here, and that is going to be little man Golett right here. Golett is an absolutely fantastic Pokemon to disguise as because it has an incredibly unique typing of Ghost and Ground, giving it a ton of immunities and resistances that are very important to us. and it is definitely going to be one of our go-to disguise targets. But for now, we still want to be disguised as the Woobat, so we're going to go ahead and head through the gauntlets here in Dragon Spiral, see End's fancy new dragon, and then chase him all the way to Desert Resort. Guess what? No issues there whatsoever. We're going to grab the candy in the desert, and then we're going to go ahead and move on. And on our way to Appaloosa, we are, of course, jumped one last time by Bianca. Now, Bianca is definitely a little bit annoying sometimes for physical attackers, but we do have Home Claws, so we can counteract that. One is not quite enough, so we're going to set up another Home Claws. Thought she might heal there, but it's no big deal. Probably should have gone for a low sweep anyway. It doesn't really matter, so... but now we're back up to +1 after the Intimidate brought us down, and we are cooking with Night Slash. So, yeah, Bianca, sure, she's a little bit annoying. Her Stoutland hits pretty hard, but she just doesn't really have anything to stand in our way, which is really solid. So, let's go ahead and head into Appaloosa. We make our way through the gym, and on the final trainer, we get to level 54 and learn Nasty Plot over Low Sweep. So our moveset is drained a little bit to only 2 attacking moves because we do still want Home Claws. It's very important for later on, but giving up Nasty Plot would be just absolutely ridiculous. So we're going to go ahead and get prepared, healed up, and ready to fight our last gym battle with Drayden. You already know what happens pretty much in this fight, right? So we're going to go ahead and send out disguise as a Woobat. Doesn't really matter what we disguise as here. It's going to actually hit us with an assurance, so I guess it did. That's pretty cool. We get to take a nice resisted hit and show our true colors. After +1, Night Slash is going to just absolutely obliterate that. We go to +2 just to be safe because Druddigun and of course his Ace Hacktress is very bulky. So we're going to get to +2 on the Druddigun, and then we're going to go ahead and drop both of his Pokemon there with a Night Slash apiece. And there we go. We have our final gym badge. We haven't had a single reset or blackout since Lenora. We are absolutely dominating this game right now with Zoroark. So, yeah. Absolutely fantastic. We're going to head into the final route of the game and up through Victory Road, and we're going to make our way to the league. But of course, Sharon has to block our way one last time, but yeah, you already know this isn't going to be too much of a problem. We taught Dig over return just for this fight pretty much. We're going to Home Claws a couple times because it did give us the opportunity with a Razor Wind, because why not? That move is absolutely horrible. Dig is going to come out +2 Dig on the end board, easily going to drop that, gain us a nice little extra chunk of experience, and then we only have 2 Night Slashes left, but that's all we need because Liepard, despite resisting, is not going to matter at all at +2. So we get a nice free heal here as well, and then we can move on. So GG Sharon, and yeah, you have nothing for our Zoroark. On our way through Victory Road, we got to really make sure that we dodge this guy because he has 3 really strong fighting types, one of them being a Conkeldurr, and I do not want to fight that right now, especially because apparently I didn't heal. But after him, we're going to go ahead and reset our Repel, and we're also going to dump all of our rare candies, bringing us all the way up to level 64. But now we're going to pass on Imprison, but along the way, we're also going to learn our signature move, Night Daze. So Night Daze is pretty much just like a slightly stronger Dark Pulse with 85 base power, but it does have 95% accuracy. However, in return, it has a chance of dropping the opponent's accuracy. Very interesting move. I probably would have been fine with them just cloning Dark Pulse with a little bit more power. I don't really think it needed the accuracy drop effect, but you know, it is what it is. And yeah, so there we go. Zoroark is pretty much ready to go. We are cooking here for the league, and we're going to heal up, grab a couple items, and then it's going to be time. Chantal is up first, and yeah, I probably didn't even need to set up, but I did anyway. Why not? And there we go, disguising as Woobat. coming in clutch once again, taking a resisted Shadow Ball right there. And then Night Days, we do miss one on the Golurk, definitely a little bit annoying, but all it does is go for Curse, and we got plenty enough turns. As long as we don't miss, then we should be okay. Chandelure drops, Jellicent comes out, that drops as well, and there we go, a nice, easy first win. We're just going straight left to right this time, as we're going to be taking on Grimsley next. And this is why we kept Hone Claws, because of course we have Focus Blast. Once again, our Disguise coming in, taking a resisted Crunch, and then we're able to Focus Blast our way through the rest of his team. Absolutely fantastic. Now, Hone Claws doesn't bring it up to 100% accuracy. It's roughly around 93%, but I will take that in a day. Waste our time a little bit with Fake Out, but one more Focus Blast is easily going to drop that cat, and then we can move on. Caitlin's up next, and we're actually going to come out disguised as Golett this time. This Reuniclus does have Thunder, and that is not something we want to deal with. So with that, it's going to hit Energy Ball, fairly weak, allowing us to set up a nasty plot. Again, probably didn't need it, but you know, better safe than sorry, I suppose. And then more Night Dazes are going to easily drop the rest of her team. Very, very sweet, very solid, loving it. Last but not least is, of course, going to be Marshall. He does have the type advantage over us, but with a Golett out, he should never be going for a fighting type move. He does actually go for Bulldoze, so probably the best disguise would have been Woobat, but even at -1 speed, +1 attack is enough to aerial ace my way through this whole team. Conkeldurr definitely drops as well. Mienshao is still not fast enough, as one more aerial ace finishes that off. Sock, of course, has Sturdy. It's a little bit annoying. We go for Night Days, but a Karate Chop is not enough. You know, who knows, we might have gotten the accuracy drop there, and we could have gone through unscathed for the most part, but another aerial ace is going to finish it off, and we finish off the league at 2 hours and 6 minutes, and we get to head into our final fights. And summons his gigantic castle out of the ground again somehow. And you might be thinking, what is going on here? Your resets are a little bit different. Maybe the timer's kind of off. Well, we have actually stepped into an alternate universe. The run that you guys have been watching this whole time has been my third run with Zoroark. This is the second run with Zoroark, and as you can see, we are playing with a different character, which means we are going to be playing on Pokemon White. Now, originally, I didn't think it really mattered which version I was playing on, so I just kind of went with Pokemon White, because why not? However, I severely overlooked at least one very significant thing, and this is going to help me showcase why I think it's really nice that I allow myself to pick which version I play. Now, I do still limit myself to only 3 runs. I don't really have the time or the energy to play countless runs upon runs of a Pokemon, and it just would kind of get tedious after points, you know, pushing myself to the absolute limit to get a good time. But, you know, it is what it is. I still like that I limit myself to 3 runs because it still gives me a little opportunity to make some improvements. So we're going to go ahead and grab the final rare candy in N's room, and then it's going to be time to take on the man himself. Of course, we can deny adding the Zekrom to our team that we caught by having a full party, and then send out a Clink, which of course is our Zoroark. We're going to go ahead and nasty plot here, hit with a Fusion Flare, and get critical hits. Okay, maybe that's just some bad luck. It happens. No big deal. We're going to take one quick reset. We do have to recatch the dragon, but it's all good. We're going to give N another shot. So take 2 with N here. We're going to set up another nasty plot. Fusion Flare is going to come out, crit again, but at least we live. However, he has a Caracosta with both Sturdy and Aqua Jet in the back, so I choose to just go ahead and reset. Okay, still some bad luck. Let's go ahead and move on and try once again. Take 3, third time's the charm, right? So we're going to go ahead and nasty plot here. Hey, we don't get crit. It also doesn't look like it's a guaranteed 2-shot here. Night Days is going to come out, and it doesn't actually pick up the kill. So Yeah, not fantastic. So maybe it's a roll. We're going to go ahead and set up a home clause if we do need to boost our accuracy. Maybe the Kirikasa won't go for anything. But yeah, it's just not going to happen. And yeah, it's going to continue to not happen. Yeah, we get to 19 resets before we finally do this with it against N. So 19th time, or whatever it is, the 11th time the charm, I suppose. Fusion Flare comes out. I just go straight for the attack this time. I can potentially two-shot. We get the accuracy drop, finally. I'm going to go ahead and set up a Hone Claws as he heals. We're going to Night Daze again. Another waste of a move with Reflect. Clink Clang's gonna come out here. I'm gonna go ahead and Focus Blast and knock out that Zoroark. Hey, look at that. Look at you go. Zoroarking me with the Zoroark. So, Focus Blast on the real King Clink Clang is gonna be it. Focus Blast on the Vanillux is gonna do that. Kirikasa comes out, but we should have enough health. We're gonna Night Daze, get a nice critical hit, drop the accuracy, and avoid the Stone Edge as well, which is really nice. And then Archeops is last but not least. So holy crap, all that time wasted on that, and we still have Getsis to do. So yeah, Getsis shouldn't be too much of a problem, right? So now here's another fun thing with Illusion, as we're going to see here in the Getsis fight. So for Getsis, I specifically caught a Steel type because his Cofagrigus does have Toxic, so he should never go for Toxic on me, right? Well, he decides to do it anyway. So this is really weird. So my theory is, this is not confirmed, don't get me wrong, I don't know for sure, but I think status moves specifically can see through an Illusion. So of course, you know, attacking moves do see the type as the Pokemon that you're disguised as, which we will see later, and I will take full advantage of. But status moves either just straight up see through the illusion, or because I was disguised as a Steel type, it kind of messed up his AI, and he just kind of went for a random move. I don't know for sure, but because of that, I actually have to take a reset here to Getsis, because I don't want to do that end fight all over again and potentially get 11 more resets. So yeah, absolute weirdness of the AI here when it contrasts with Illusion. So I am going to show you the end of this run, and then we can actually compare to not only the game knowledge that I gained, but also the version difference of the run that we have originally been seeing. So at this point, I already knew I was going to be doing another run on the alternate version. So I did run a few tests. And yeah, it seems like the AI just either just straight up sees through Illusion with Toxic. It's because it always went for Toxic on my Steel type disguise, which is really odd. So, but we get our head on straight. We're gonna go ahead and Focus Blast and Night Daze our way through this fight, easy enough. And yeah, that's going to be gets us down. And yeah, that just goes to show you just like how much game knowledge on obscure mechanics like Illusion and the version difference can do. Because we're going to actually finish off Getsis. We're going to walk through the final dialogue, and we're actually going to get a final time of 2 hours, 28 minutes, and 58 seconds on this version of the game. But most importantly, we went from 8 resets before the start of this fight to 22. Absolutely massive difference. So yeah, let's go ahead and head back into our original universe and see how these two fights went, with a bunch more game knowledge and a version difference. And here we go. N this time has Zekrom, and we have a Golett. So this Zekrom's moveset is Fusion Bolt, Zen Headbutt, and Giga Impact. He cannot touch us. So because we have the absolute madman Golett here, we have a completely free fight compared to what we had to deal with Reshiram and just why not, man? This, if you have the opportunity to gain an advantage in a speed run, you are going to take it. And because of that, we're able to fully set up on the Zekrom and just absolutely dominate this fight right here. We don't even take any damage at all. Caracosta comes out, we got Night Days, and we do finally take the damage, but look at that, we still have our illusion in place, so all it goes for is a crunch. Doesn't even waste our time, which is awesome. And there we go. And drops. Gexus is last. Let's see what my new game knowledge with how illusion works pays off there as well. Alright, so Gexus time. So Cofagrigus comes out. Oh, look at that. We're just going to go straight for the attacks. Night Days brings us up to level 68. Hydreigon, it's going to come in. We're going to Hone Claws. It's going to go for a Dragon Pulse. We take that pretty handily. Focus Blast is going to finish off that Hydreigon. We do still need to boost our special attack, but the Bisharp comes out. We can live a hit, but a critical hit is very scary, but it doesn't really matter because it's just going to drop to another Focus Blast. As long as we got 1 HP, we are cooking. And then last but not least is going to be the Sidesman Toad and Electros, and both of them are going to drop to the +2 Night Days. So yeah, that's easy peasy. So yeah, this was a really interesting run. So definitely goes to show that I need to look more into which version I'm playing on, and you know, really think about it instead of just kind of just rolling with what I got. Because if I didn't allow myself to do a third run, we would have been stuck with a much worse time and a lot of bad resets and the final fight. But because we didn't do that, we get to actually make a massive improvement on our time here with a 2 hours and 13 minutes and 24 seconds. That is a huge improvement, about 15 minutes of improvement that we made just by playing on a different version, which is pretty cool. So yeah, overall, this Pokemon's awesome. It's great. Sure, it struggles a little bit early. All of those resets were on Lenora, which is just fantastic. So, but, you know, that's nothing to really scoff at because a lot of Pokemon struggle at Lenora. So that's really cool. So yeah, Zoroark, an incredible Pokemon, but it definitely has a lot of very weird mechanics. And I hope that you guys enjoyed me showcasing some of them for you here today. So overall, this was a great run. I definitely enjoyed it for sure. And gives us our first 2-stage evolution on the board with a very solid time nonetheless. So, but we're going to go ahead and finish off the credits here, see our final in-game time, and then we're going to wrap things up. And with a final in-game time of 5 hours and 23 minutes, Zoroark has completed the game, and that's really solid. So, yeah, definitely probably could be improved a little bit, but I think limiting myself to only 3 runs is, you know, probably the healthiest thing for me to do. But enough about all that. Let's go ahead and wrap things up, because next week we are going to be doing our first dedicated special attacker in the Reuniclus-line. So yeah, this one's going to be definitely really interesting as well, because if you know anything about Reuniclus, it's really strong in this generation, but it's also really slow. So that's also going to be something new for us. We've pretty much only done fast Pokemon up to this point. So, but yeah. Anyway, I hope you guys come back next week to check that out, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video as it is. So anyway, like, comment, sub, all that fun stuff. I love you all. Deuces.